allow people to get together, and normally it ends up with a community of schools working together, and that community of schools will have a chance to share their experiences and talk about what they're doing, but also be able to get to grips with what you need to do to be successful in the final test. So this will start now in September, and those sessions will run about approximately every other week all the way through to December. If you can't make a session, it's not the end of the world. They'll be recorded and added into a library, and if you've signed up for any of the sessions, you'll automatically be sent the information where the recording can be accessed, and then ask any questions also in chat if you wish to. So the program itself is designed for you to understand what it is to become a Google Educator, but also what's involved in getting your level 1 qualification. And some of you then may decide to go on and take things a step further and either be a Google Educator level 2 or maybe a Google trainer. That's entirely up to you. As far as the program is concerned, as you know, I'm Martin and I'm delivering the core of the content. We've also got our managing director for Turn It On, Tom Welsh, who will be joining us from time to time. And there will be other curriculum consultants employed by Turn It On, which all have a background in teaching. It will also deliver segments of the course or entire sessions, and they will be announced as we go through the program. We've got 3 clear aims on our journey to helping you become a Google Educator, and that's that we want you to feel part of a smaller community, which is also then part of a global community with the Google Educators, which really are very supportive of each other. I know that if you ask a question, there'll be people queuing up to find out what the answer is for you, or they will help you, or they'll give you several different options and the best way to approach things. The other thing that we're asking for the aim of becoming a Google Educator and joining the Turn It On course is for you to commit some time, and we know that it's really pressurized in a teaching job. You're face to face with pupils or students, but find some time to come along to these sessions or watch them afterwards, and then go away and try the apps that you're using. It will also prepare you to answer those questions in the end. If you don't expose yourself to the Google Workspace apps and technology and just how they can be beneficial, not just to you, but to maybe colleagues or the people and students you work with, you're going to really struggle at the end. So you need to be open-minded and willing to embrace things, and also to take calculated risks. It might be that you're going to invest some time in practicing first before you introduce it to others, but there will be a time element there and a commitment. And also, we want to be able to help you celebrate the success that you are going to become a qualified digital leader in your educational establishment, whether it's primary school, secondary school, college. We can support you in all educational phases and special schools as well. But you'll then be better equipped to bring about change as a digital leader within your educational institution. So the Educator Level 1 has got 3 key points that Google wanted to underpin. The first of which is to make your classroom more accessible. We're not suggesting that technology replaces traditional teaching methods, but what we're saying is that you'll use your technology to enhance those teaching methods, whether it's through Google Classroom, maybe you're using Google Translator. But there can be really simple things that you can bring in that will make a world of difference. And it's not just the pupils and students we're focusing on here, it is the wider school community and all those different staff that will work within a school, and whatever their role is, there's something here and technology that will make a difference to them. If you're bringing it back to people that are focused on teaching and learning, it's about making that classroom and that learning more engaging, making it sticky and memorable, so that if you have to recall it in other lessons, that pupils and students can easily go back to it, but at the same time making them want more of it, and maybe so enthusiastic that they do embrace this outside of the classroom, and they look at how they can use that technology possibly for homework or also in their own learning. But really importantly, it's also about reducing workloads for staff and teachers and not adding additional burden, but trying to make sure that you find efficiencies in the way that you work. So a lot of people often say at this point, well, what does it mean to be a Google Educator? To be a Google Educator, it means many things, but really you are going to be a person that will focus really clearly on looking at the digital technology that's out there. It could be hardware, so it might be that you are thinking of investing in Chromebooks. It might be that you are going to put Chrome OS on old Windows devices or old Apple Mac devices, and that's going to give you additional devices to use in the classroom. And that's a really easy way to get extra devices. And Chrome OS is so lightweight, it easily runs on them. It's not very processor intensive, and a lot of data you're getting is from the cloud. It's actually more important to have a robust broadband and internet connection because of the amount of data you're going to push and pull. Also, it's ensuring that those pupils and students that you have that you work with have absolutely everything they need to work in the way that they choose. Think of it about giving them a toolkit for learning. Some of becoming a Google Educator Level 1 and 2 is the pedagogy, helping them to develop a very open mindset, develop resilience in learning, for them to give up, not to give up, and to try over and over again until they find success, but also to work together and support each other, whether that's in pairs, whether that's group work, but also develop that independence to be able to tackle things individually as well. And what you're giving them along with that mindset and that skill set is that you are giving them the technology to choose what to use and when to use it to be successful in their own learning. And if you are thinking about that learning, it shouldn't stop at school. One of the great things about using Google Workspace and knowing more about it being a Google Educator Level 1 is for you to break down the boundaries, and whether it's bringing in parents and guardians and the stakeholders that you have there and them getting more involved and understanding how to support you or the school or their child, is also about that suddenly the learning doesn't stay in the classroom, whereas traditionally it might have been in a book. And if you didn't take that book home, you were stuck. Well, by having everything in Google Classroom, you've got it there at your fingertips and you can tap into it. It might be in their My Drive, they've got a doc or a sheet or a slide they're working on, and then they can pick that up, and wherever they are, they can continue on again. And they don't need to have that software installed. Everything's going to be available online in the browser. Increasingly, there are groups of schools and trusts that are seeing this as a really viable way forwards, because the investment from a monetary standpoint isn't too high, and it's very accessible for teachers. Even those that find it difficult to use technology or find it challenging often have some of those fears melt away, and they feel more confident using that technology quite quickly. And whereas it might be a problem to experiment with something that's really complicated, they'll pick the bits that they like, and then they'll gradually build that repertoire as they progress through. So the next question is usually why become a Google Educator, and that's multi-layered really. It's that you are going to be thinking about how you can work with the learners, and the educators you've got to enable them to achieve it the best way they possibly can. It's also about creating value at all levels. If you are going to introduce something that's only going to work for a very small minority, that's not going to bring about a big wide change. If you can show to the leaders in school what you're doing is transformational, and it might be that you're using Google Forms. Well, Google Forms could be used for many different purposes. It could be used by office admin teams that are collecting data from parents you work with. It could be used for getting data from governors or trustee members if you're an academy. But it equally could be used in the classroom extremely successfully, either on its own or with another application such as Google Classroom for things like data collection. And what you do then is you get rid of that really valuable lost learning time, where traditionally it might have taken ages to draw up a table and start to collect information, whereas students can get on with taking measurements and then drop those into the form, and then the analysis and what it means becomes the important part of the learning. You're also empowering the different educators, because just like today, there are lots of CPD programs out there. There's a wealth of resources available directly from Google themselves, but also there's lots of partners around the UK and globally that are running sessions like this, because Turn It On is a Google education partner, and part of our remit is to help you make better use of the technology you have at your fingertips. It also includes the ability to do things that you need to on a daily basis even better. It could be that it's easier to communicate. You've probably always sent emails, maybe in Gmail, but it might be that you are going to communicate more effectively with your pupils in things like Google Classroom because you're posting to each other. It's instant to be able to get some conversation going on. It might be that you're marking after school and the pupil's gone home to do some work and they're asking a question and you still logged in, so therefore that question would go unanswered, or in fact they wouldn't be able to ask that question at all in a traditional way, but you can then engage with them and help them, or their peers can also help them thinking about reducing workloads. So you are bringing them into an environment where they've got the tools to be successful in many ways, and it's not just for educational, it could be just communicating for things such as mental well-being and pastoral elements. You also are equipping every learner to be successful, and you're creating inclusive environments. You're going to do that anyway. Part of the school philosophy is you feel like you belong to that school and maybe the cohort you're with, whether it's a year group or whether it's a class. But with things like your class teams, what you can do is you can have your Google Classroom and you can have your class teams with a Google Classroom, and that Google Classroom can feel like a really safe place to be. You might use it sparingly and you just set homework for it, but hopefully you make much greater use of it and it becomes an integral part of your daily teaching. You could also do things like not need to photocopy anymore because you can distribute work through there. Or, as we said, a pupil could go back and check what they've done in class that day, and they could then use that to engage and be more successful with completing their homework. So that breaking down barriers that schoolwork isn't just in school, it's for anywhere if you wish. Also, it really involves the everyday. You'll be more data rich, you'll have a better idea of how the tools that you're providing people are utilised. Certainly through Google Admin Center, you can get analytics. You can see maybe as a particular class using this better and they're making better use of the tools in there. Is there a certain year group of pupils or students that you're with? Are there pockets of staff that are more readily embracing this, and do you need to put in some extra CPD or training with other staff which are still obviously avoiding it, or are maybe just scared about moving over from more traditional methods? So it really is all encompassing, the fact that you want people to be successful, but you becoming a Google Educator on a level 1 and then maybe even a level 2 is going to help you to bring about that change in school and make more use of what you've got available to you. So the course commitment is quite simple from turn on. We want you to be brave and don't worry that occasionally you might fail. It's okay, as long as you learn from that mistake. And very often we say, have a go, see how things work before you start to introduce it in a whole class situation. But you'll also need to be really accepting of the fact that with technology, the pupils and students that you teach will have far greater opportunity to use it and may have already had experience of it. So don't be frightened by that, don't be threatened by that. Welcome that in, celebrate it, capture it, use it to drive achievement and standards within your classroom. You've also got the option to join a Google Classroom community if you want, and that's something that we'll collect feedback on, whether people there would be value of getting those like-minded individuals together so you can talk together in your own defined space. There's a way to use a Google Fundamentals tracker from Google, and we'll make the slide deck available afterwards and you can click that link. But that tracker will allow you to plot your way through the different units in the Google Educator Level 1, and there is a series of units, but you can tick them off and you can use them in tandem with the sessions that we've got now, and all of the units that we have, all the sessions that we've built are based on those units. So there's a very close correlation between what we're doing and what you'll actually have to do. And then finally, it would be to sit the exam. The exam costs approximately £10. The cost of that exam would have to be covered by your school, but what we'll do is ensure that you've got the best possible chance to be successful at passing that exam and that it isn't a lost opportunity or wasted money. So you've got a range of support from Turn It On the Google Educator program. You've got the meets, and these Google Meets will take place fairly regularly, as we said, every couple of weeks, right the way up to you taking the final examination. It's up to you at the end of the day when you do it. If December is a busy time, you might want to leave it to the new year. If you actually want to do this with colleagues, you might decide that there's a group of you that are going to undertake it at the same time. We'll try to organise some Q&A sessions from people with Google Educator qualifications to come and speak about this. We're also working with various Google schools, so we're trying to organise an event for you to be able to join an online Google reference school and find out a bit more about that. But also, Google themselves often put on Google reference events where you can join large, successful educational establishments that really have adopted Google and are working through every area of the school on a daily basis. COVID-19 thankfully is fading away, but at the moment we're toying with face-to-face sessions, but we may stay online. That decision is yet to be made. But also, you can always, if we decide to go down the Google Classroom route, you can talk to us on a Google Classroom or a dedicated Google site if there's enough interest, and we said we will set that up. But otherwise, I will always stay at the end of every session, and you're more than welcome to ask me any questions or pop them into the chat. There's also additional consultancy, but that would come at a cost, and if there's something that you're interested in, we can talk to you about that individually. So there's a program of events that you can see there on screen. They run all the way across the next few months, and what we'll do is take in a couple of sessions at a time in order to make sure that you've got time to take on board what we're focusing on, not feel overwhelmed, but also balancing that with your daily workload and responsibilities that you have in school. You'll find that as we go through, some of it will be quite theoretical or pedagogical, and it'll be based around the theories of learning, and other aspects will introduce you to apps, some of which you may be using because they're really common, but they're still going to be in the Google Educator Level 1 exam at the end. Others of which you may not have played with before, and it will give you the opportunity to try them out and just evaluate. Are they for you, or are they something in the longest term you can see you introducing, or are they really not right for you, your pupils or students you work with, or your school, and then you just may decide to leave them. But you need to have an awareness of them to get through the Google Educator Level 1 examination, and that's what we're doing here today. So once you get to the other end, you can sign up, and there's a Google Forms link there available to you. The Google Forms link I'll also pop into the chat, but the Google Forms link will help you to sign up and let Turniton know that you want to be part of it, but also at the same time you can register yourself on the portal from Google. So here's the page where you actually decide to become a Google Educator Level 1. All you do is you go down to the register box there, you register yourself, and you can then come along to our sessions and it will support you on that journey. Once you've registered, that's where you get to those units that I was discussing that we're including in the sessions. But also, if you want to sign up to further sessions with us, all you need to do is go to the Turniton website, which is www.turniton.co.uk/events, and when you get to the events section, you'll be able to find all of the upcoming Google sessions in this series and sign up for them, so that there'll be no problem at all in joining in, and that you can come along and just relax. It's a safe place to be, talk and experiment, and ask any questions if you wish. So without any further ado, that's an introduction to what our program will offer you in the way of support. So thank you for coming along, and really at this point, have you got any questions or anything you'd like to know? I'll also, if you are online, I'm going to stop the recording at this point, but you're welcome to go and sign up and join those future sessions.